Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to wait a couple minutes before we begin, but with us tonight, you have Angelina and you have myself. We're going to be talking about a couple different things tonight, but we're going to hang out for a little bit. We're just going to hang out, shoot some trivia, Chicago trivia.
Yeah.
Um,
Already have four
let
viewers.
Four viewers, awesome. I wish I could
Hmm.
see them.
Five.
Five. Uh, so Chicago trivia. Let's see. I don't have any at all.
I'm trying to. I should know some. Oh, I know. What does the word Chicago mean? What was it named after? It's a
I
Native
have
American.
no.
It's a
I'm about to say,
oh,
yeah, it must
it's a
be.
Native American word, and I know what it means.
What's it mean?
It means stinky onion because Chicago is a prairie, and it's known for wild onions growing everywhere. And I know this because I'm an urban gardener, farmer. I garden. Fun fact.
Oh man, do you know that I shout out Chicago in every song that I do? And now when I perform these songs, all I'm gonna think is Stinky Onion.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
my god.
Tonight,
Well,
Mr. Kagey's joining us. So I will bring him into our video, and we already have 12 viewers. And Stella
awesome.
says hi, and so
How you
does
doing,
Michelle.
Stella?
Hi,
Hey
good evening.
everybody, good to see you here today.
How you doing, boss?
Doing all right. Hey, we've got quite a lot of work ahead of us. We're glad to have everyone out here tonight. We know there's lots of things that people can do in Chicago in the summer, in the evening, and even though it's really hot out there, we know you could be elsewhere. So we're glad to have you here tonight.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and remove myself, and you guys can go ahead and take it away.
For sure. Boss, I have your slides, so you just let me know when you're ready and we can get it in.
Okay, well, I know everyone else is here for a very practical purpose, so we want to give you some very important information that you can use tonight. And first, I want to give you sort of a high level view about why we go through all of this. Why do we need to have assessments at all? What purpose do they serve in the larger realm of the property tax system? No one likes property taxes. But it's how we fund the cost of government. And really, what assessments are about is equity. It's about determining each person's share of the cost of government. And the way we do this is basically your assessed value as a share of the total assessed value in Chicago that determines your share of the cost of educating our children and providing all the services that we pay for through property taxes. And the really important thing is that when we reassess Chicago every 3 years, and this is the first chance that we've had to do it in our administration, it's all about taking an accurate snapshot in time so that we're getting it accurately for everyone, that the snapshot isn't distorted, that it's not warped. We're supposed to be a mirror to the market. And if that mirror gets distorted, it can mean that some people pay less than their fair share of the cost of providing education and government services, and then everyone else ends up making up the difference. And that's how the property tax system can become very unfair. So the key is for us to take an accurate snapshot of where the market is for everything and to make sure that there's no bias or distortions or inaccuracies in that process. And that's why we have assessments. We do them every 3 years. I think in the slideshow that we have, we can show you some of the slides that go with this. So, Hector, you got the slideshow there?
Yes, sir. We are where it says how much did West Chicago increase in value?
Ah, okay, all right. I'm sorry, I didn't see the slides here. So, in
Um,
in
Sorry to interrupt really quickly. The presentation is actually not up, Hector. Try it again.
Give me 1 second. Hold on. I thought I shared it.
There we go. Perfect.
okay.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So we just want to make sure that everyone else can see it. We don't there's a lot of detail here, so we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and confuse you. This is all about helping you understand how you fit in to this bigger system. So if you got an assessment and you live in what we call the West Township of Chicago, we're assessing this part of Chicago right now, and we just sent out assessments. And here you can see what's going on in your part of Chicago. This is basically the part of Chicago that's mostly south of North Avenue, north of Pershing, west of the river, but it also can go up to Fullerton if you're by Logan Square in Bucktown, so east of Western. And it's a really diverse part of Chicago. We have Fulton Market, which has had a huge amount of construction activity and change over the last 3 years. And we have areas that have been pretty prosperous for a while, like parts of Bucktown and Logan Square. We have parts where there's been a lot more activity with house prices going up, as we can see in some parts of, especially the periphery of West Township. And then we also have communities that have in the past are still having troubles, and house prices are still low. So we have quite a mix in here. We have industrial uses, commercial uses, residential uses. What we're showing you here in the slide is what our snapshot in time for this part of Chicago is looking like. And you can see that residential values, so the total value of real estate in this part of Chicago up about 65%, which is a combination of new construction and renovation, as well as rising prices for real estate and correcting for some underassessments that we saw in certain kinds of assets in the last time it was reassessed in the Barrios administration. We see a combination of residential going up about 25%, but we also see commercial going up more, going up about 65, going up more than that, a little bit more than 100%. And that is changing the base. So a resident's share of this part of the property tax base that's in West Chicago is decreasing, and we see commercial and industrial increasing its share of the base. So that's like the most important takeaway from what's going on at the very highest level of what's going on in this part of Chicago. It is not the end of the story. We are reassessing all of Chicago this year. And the key thing to remember is that if you own a property in Chicago, it's your share of the total assessed value in all of Chicago that determines your share of the property taxes. So we're giving you the information as it comes in, as we finish reassessing, and just know that this is basically a continuation of the trend that we've seen in the first part of Chicago that we reassessed, and really in the last 2 years of reassessing the suburbs, where we're seeing residential values go up, but we're seeing commercial go up more, and residents' share of the property tax base decreasing in our reassessments. So this is basically a continuation of the trend. Here we have where the market has been for single-family homes in West Township. You can see that the last time Chicago was reassessed, the average house price in Chicago was $270,000. And then this year, in the last year, in 2020, the average transaction was $440,000. So values have gone up in this part of the city. It's a very diverse experience. It depends on which neighborhood you're in to know whether house prices have gone up that much more or less. But that's the overall trend. And here you can see in the borders, a range that we see. Sort of the top third would be above that green level, and the bottom third would be below the green, and in between would be the middle third. And you can see even within that, there's quite a wide range, and that reflects the diversity of Chicago. Very different neighborhoods, very different real estate markets, but it's our job to make an accurate snapshot of them all. And that's kind of where we are. And basically tonight, the key thing for you to be thinking about is the assessment that I got. Is that an accurate reflection of what I think my house would sell for in the market or not? And if we overestimated it, that's a very good grounds for appeal. If if you think you're being assessed not barely relative to a house that's similar to yours, that's another grounds for appeal. So those are like the two main things to think about. what we're proud of in our assessments is that we think we've identified and reduced a lot of the distortions. Remember, when I started my presentation, I talked about the key to having our assessment system be fair is to eliminate those distortions. We think we've really reduced them very significantly. So you can see in 2018, the more modest your home was, the lower the value of your home, the much more likely it tended to be overassessed by a pretty big amount. And we think we've really reduced that in our modeling this year as we tested against actual transactions that have happened. We hold out a sample from transactions that happened over the last 3 years to test our model, and we think it's pretty accurate, especially reducing that tendency to overassess folks at the bottom end of the scale. And so this is what this chart shows here. We still have more work to do, and we always make sure that we walk humbly as we do this, because we are about 250 people trying to value 1.9 million properties. And every homeowner is the world's biggest expert on their own home. They know more than us. And we are working with a couple of data points about your home as we model it. So it's always possible that we don't get it accurate. And that's why we do events like this. That's why we have the appeals process, is to address situations like that. So as we go to the next slide, you can see, again, here's what's happening in terms of the share of the property tax base in your community as we've reassessed it so far. So in this very diverse swath of Chicago, which represents about 17% of the property tax base in Chicago, you can see that through our reassessment, we're having reduced the share of the base for residential homeowners, so from 54% to 40%. And we can see commercial making up a bigger piece, going from 46% to 60%. And that's driven by a bunch of things. It's driven by the really great development that's going on in Fulton Market, west of the river, in the West Loop, renovations of things like the post office, coming back onto the tax rolls in a more significant way. It's rising rents in many different kinds of properties, affecting their value. And it's the overall valuation of different kinds of commercial and industrial property also growing. And other investments in new buildings, all of this is building the commercial base, which we think may have been undervalued in some cases by the Barrios administration last time. And we're closing that disparity, closing that valuation gap, making sure that the base is not distorted and it's fairly reflecting where the market is for everyone. As I mentioned, it's not the end of the story. We'll be assessing other parts of the city, and the picture will continue to be colored in for the rest of the base in Chicago. And we have to run our appeals process here. So there may be some properties where we didn't get it right on the residential and commercial side, and this is one of the reasons why we're here tonight. That can reduce the size of the base and shift how the residential share of the base is changing. And there's a whole other appeals process that takes place at the board review, which can change the picture even more. I wish it was more complex and we could predict the future, but this is where we are now. Here are some of the other data points that you might be interested in. It just sort of illustrates how big this part of Chicago and how varied it is. We have a huge amount of information on our website where you can go and get more of this. You can see that we have here in the part of West Chicago, this first row here with the 25,000, that's the number, I believe that is the number of single-family homes that we have in this part of Chicago. And you can see that there are over 1,000 sales of single-family homes in this part of Chicago in 2020. Then you can see the sales range is between $240,000 to $650,000. And you can see where our estimated range is for the model, between $170,000 and $420,000. In the middle third of the range for single-family houses. Below it, we have two to six flats, I believe. Is that it? And that is quite a very diverse group again of classic Chicago buildings. Over 1,000 sales. Market very strong here in this area. And you can again see the range there. And then at the bottom we have condos. And again, you can see the range that we have for condos. We have over 36,000 condos, over 1,700 transactions in 2020, and here you can see the price ranges for those. You can get all of this data plus some really cool maps on our website. With the next slide, this is just a reminder that we here at the assessor's office, our assessments do not change the total amount of tax that's collected in Chicago. That amount is determined in advance by your taxing bodies, by the city, the Chicago Public Schools, the county. What assessments are used for is to divide up that amount that has to be collected amongst us. So what our work is really about equity, about dividing up that cost of government. And we determine the value of all of these properties, which are 1.9 million in the whole county, by looking at the characteristics of homes and pieces of real estate that sell over the last 3 years. And about 4% of the homes sell in any year. And if you look over 3 years, that will be a little bit more than 10% of the homes that sell. And we need to take the information, the ones that sell, and then figure out how the market would value the other 90% or so that did not sell. And that's basically the job of our office, using models to figure that out while making sure there aren't any distortions in the system. And then there's another thing that we do, which is something, administer exemptions. And exemptions allow you to slice some of the value off of the top of your assessed value. And it's a way for you to get tax savings. And we'll talk a little bit about that tonight too.
Awesome, awesome. So this is where we speak about our online appeals. Is this something you want me to take over with, sir?
Yeah, I'll let you go, Hector. You're the expert on this. You've done this so many times, and you bring it down so everyone can get just what they need. We know people have places to go. We'll make sure we have plenty of time for questions too.
For sure. So as stated, my name is Hector Dominguez. I'm here on behalf of the assessor's office. So what we're going to do tonight going forward is talk about our appeals, right? So what are appeals? Why would someone appeal? When can someone appeal? So very quickly, some very important dates for you guys. Your reassessment notice was mailed out July 21st. Now, this means that your deadline to file your appeal is August 23rd. I'm going to say that one more time. Your reassessment notice was mailed out July 21st, and your deadline to appeal is August 23rd. All right. So a couple of things you need to know about filing an online appeal is the very first thing we want to make clear is that it's always free. You will never have to pay our office to do this, something we do for free. You will need a valid email address. It is best for you to file immediately, right? You have 30 days to appeal, sometimes 31, 32, depending on Saturday, Sundays, right? Depending on how that lands. But you want to make sure you do this. You can draft your filing. That means you can start it, you can change it, you can edit it, you can save it, you can modify it, you can upload attachments, you can do all of that before submitting your appeal. We have a kind of a better system than we used to have, and now you can upload different kinds of files with your appeal. We also have something where you can actually go in, you don't have to, but you can actually go in and use our online cook viewer. It's an interactive map where you can find comparables on your own. Now, listen, our analysts are going to do this for you. That is their job. However, maybe that's something you want to do on your own for your own peace of mind. If that is the case, we have that available also. I'm going to go over that in a couple slides. So one thing we always hear is, will our taxes decrease if we file an appeal? Guys, just like the assessor just said, there's no way to guesstimate what is going to happen, right? There's no way to figure this out because we can't see into the future. However, by filing an appeal, if you receive a reduction on your appeal, that means the value of your property went down. If there is a reduction, you will see it on your second installment tax bill for that year. So for example, we are in 2021. We are doing 2021 appeals. So any reduction you see from this, it will be reflected on your 2021 second installment tax bill, which we will be paying next year. So this appeal that you're doing right now has nothing to do with the bill that you're going to be getting soon from the treasurer's office. I just want to make that clear. 3, there are multiple reasons why someone would file an appeal, but the 3 main reasons or most popular reasons we find or we see are these listed here. Lack of uniformity, that means myself and you all live on the same block, house built by the same person, same size, same color, same area, same everything. But for whatever reason, my value is different from everyone else's, which probably means my tax bill is a lot higher than everybody else's. And I want to know why mine is not uniform to everyone else's. Why are we not the same? The second reason is probably everybody watching and listening is overvaluation. That you say, there's no way my house is worth this much. If my house was worth this much, you can go ahead and buy it now. I'll give it back to the bank. Here go the keys, right? Whatever you want to say. I'm going to assume that's almost everybody here. And then the other popular reason we see is property description errors, right? So incorrect property description. So simply put, that means our office says you have a building with 6 apartments or less, but you really have a single family home. Or our office says you have a property with 2,400 square feet, but you really have 1,700 square feet, right? There's a factual error. What factors affect your tax bill? I'm just, reiterating what the assessor said earlier, but 1, your assessment, the value of your property, right? The discounts, your exemptions, the amounts that are discounted off of your tax bill. Next, number 3 and 4 go together. Those are your local township tax rates, which are covered or include your tax levies or your taxing bodies. So that's schools, parks, libraries, police department, fire department. It's actually listed on your tax bill. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. And lastly, the total assessed value of your city or your town. What are exemptions? Exemptions, simply put, are discounts. They're discounts that you qualify for, that you apply for. Some of them you don't have to apply for. We're going to talk about that in a second. But please keep in mind that they are reflected on your second installment tax bill only. You get 2 tax bills a year. The first one has no exemptions on it. The second one will. The first one is blue. The second one is yellow. The yellow one has your discounts on it. Here are a list of discounts, or exemptions, that we have. We have the homeowner exemption. To qualify for that, you just have to own and occupy the property January 1 of 2020 to get this exemption. Please keep in mind, you can't have multiple exemptions on multiple properties. You can only have exemptions on one property, and you want it to be the one that you own and occupy. The next exemption is senior citizen. As long as you were born in 1955 or before, and you own and occupy this property, you can receive this exemption. The next one is the senior freeze. This one's a little bit different. So you still had to have been born in 1955 or before, but there's an income cap. You cannot make more than $65,000 as a total household income. The next one is persons with disability. Our office has zero authority to tell who is disabled and who is not. So what we do is we give you an application. You take that to your doctor. Your doctor fills it out on your behalf. You give it back to us. And as long as you meet every requirement, you get a discount on your taxes. Returning veterans. This is for anyone who's returning from active duty. You receive this exemption for the year you return and for 1 year after. Veterans with disabilities. This is for any veteran that has a service-connected disability of 30% to 100%. 30 to 49% gets X removed off of or deducted from their tax bill. 50 to 69% has X removed, deducted from their tax bill. 70 to 100%, you don't pay property taxes at all as long as your home is not worth more than, I think, $808,000. It's some gigantic number up there. But we can do the math for you. You don't have to worry about that. The long-time exemption is for anyone who owned and occupied the property for 10 consecutive years. You do not make more than $100,000 as a total household income gross, and your equalized assessed value, not your property value, not your tax bill, your equalized assessed value, I'm going to show you where to find that at, must have increased significantly within those 10 years, depending on where you live. And then the last one, this one you don't have to apply for. This one, as long as you do everything correctly and you pull the permits correctly, our office will enroll you into this exemption. The home improvement exemption is for anyone who does improvements to their home up to $75,000, and then you are covered for 4 years within that 75,000. Anything over that, you are responsible for. So here is your tax bill. This is issued by the Cook County Treasurer's Office. A couple things I want to show you very quickly. This middle portion right here is where your township tax rate comes from. These are the different taxing bodies are responsible for. These are the different taxing bodies. Tax levies. Everything is itemized to the cent. All you got to do is look at your tax bill. You can see exactly where your money is going. What I want to focus, or I want to draw your focus to, is where it says tax calculator. If you look on the left-hand side, you'll see this is 2018, but on yours it'll say 2020. Equalized assessed value, EAV. That number, for those of you all who are interested or trying to figure out if you qualify for the long term or not, has to have increased significantly within 10 years. So if you keep good records, just look at your old tax bills. If this number has increased, 20,000, 30,000, you'll see if you qualify or not. And another way you know if you qualified is if our office sent you the application. Our office this year, because of COVID, did a lot of things differently. You don't have to apply for the homeowner, the senior, or the senior freeze. It was automatically renewed for those who were already receiving it. If this is your first year receiving it, then you did have to apply. Same thing with the long time. If you qualified, an application was mailed to you, and then you would have filled it out. So if you did not receive an application, more than likely you don't qualify. However, we're not perfect. I wish we were. So you can definitely contact us. We can look into this for you as well. What I really want you to see is this red highlighted portion. This is where your exemptions will be listed. This is where your homeowner exemption will be, senior citizens, senior freeze, returning veterans, veterans with disabilities. All of that will be listed here. The only one that's different is the long time exemption. That will be listed under important messages. It will be listed right here. So that's how you know which exemptions you are receiving. Automatic renewals, where we spoke about this, but I'm going to show you how to find this as well. So you can go to cookcountypropertyinfo.com. I'm going to leave this screen up really quick just so that you can take a screenshot, or you can write this information down. But this is a very useful website. Here you can almost find everything, right? You can see which exemptions you've applied for, if your bill has been paid, if you've appealed or not. Please keep in mind that anyone trying to file an exemption now, it's too late. It's past the deadline. The deadline was April 9th. So what you will have to do now is wait until you receive the tax bill and then apply for what's called a certificate of error. We're going to get into that in a second. Certificate of errors. This is for anyone who, for whatever reason, failed to file or didn't apply, or whatever the case was, for exemptions. Now, as of this moment right now that we are talking, or you're watching me, we can go all the way back to 2017. So that means we can do 2017, 2018, 2019, and the current year. So 3 to 4 years of exemptions or discounts or refunds, just depending on what's happening, right? If you did not receive your exemptions, you definitely want to contact our office. It's super simple. It's easy. Everything's online now. And we get this question a lot. Well, how do I upload things? How do I submit things? You can do all of these things online. Very quickly, this is a reassessment notice. This is what you all should have at your home. It's black and white. This is not a tax bill. This is not a tax bill. This is not a tax bill. This is just us letting you know what our office believes your property is worth. If you don't agree, then we're doing the right thing tonight. You're going to file an appeal. I'm going to show you how to file an appeal. This is your second installment tax bill. We already talked about it. This is a tax bill. Before filing an appeal, you have to make sure your township is open or not. So we've already established that you all are open. West Chicago Township, you guys, your reassessment notices were mailed out July 21st. Your deadline to file an appeal is August 23rd. So if you are unaware, maybe you're not in West Township, maybe you're just watching this because you saw it, or somebody tagged you on it. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a couple seconds. Go ahead and take a screenshot. Write this down, cookcountyassessor.com/assessment calendar and deadlines with dashes in between assessment calendar and deadlines. This is where you would see if your township was open for appeals or not. You cannot file an appeal if your township is not open. So as long as your township is open, which West Chicago it is open, then you definitely want to take advantage of this. Also, if you all want to provide comparable properties, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can do this here. I'm going to show you in a second, but I'm going to leave this up here as well. cookcountyassessor.com. What are comparable properties with dash marks in between all of the words? This is where you can find your comparables. We have a new feature coming soon. It's not up there yet, but it's coming, I promise. So this is what your appeal will look like. It is self-explanatory. I promise this is the easiest it has ever been. It is online now, and each heading is self-explanatory. You just click on the heading and fill out the information that we need, your personal information, your name, your PIN number, your address, things like that. But we want to focus on these two things very quickly. Some of you all have attachments you want to submit. Maybe there's pictures, sales analysis, appraisals, just things you want to submit on your behalf. You do not want to submit those where it says additional pins. Additional pins is only for taxpayers, property owners whose property are prorated. That means you have one property with multiple PIN numbers on it. If that is you, this is where we need your additional pins. If that is not you, then you just upload everything where it says attachments. I will just encourage you to pay attention to what you're uploading and where you're uploading, because some of these upload segments have size limits, 10 megabytes, 25 megabytes, 5 megabytes. So it all just depends. But the easiest way to do this, all you have to do is take whatever you're trying to submit, take a picture of it, upload it. It's very simple. We also want to let everybody know that our offices are reopening. They have been reopened. Downtown is open. All in-person visits are welcome, but you have to wear a mask. We just want to make sure we're safe. We're protecting ourselves and protecting those around us. If you have any other questions, our number is 312-443-7550. If you do want to contact us, super easy to do so, cookcountyassessor.com. That is this information here. We are socially active, so please follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We are currently, I was told we're currently streaming right now on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. So this is great, guys. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you, whatever you need, whatever you want, guys. We're here to help. This is what we're doing. This is actually my favorite part of the job, what we're about to do right now, which is the question and answers. So Angelina is going to start throwing up questions on here, and then we're going to start answering them.
Okay, and then Hector, I just wanted to thank you for, first of all, giving us that information, which is so useful. There were a couple slides right at the beginning that folks didn't get to see that I just like to show people just as a good lead-in for the questions. So, and this is really a good place to land right before we start the questions. Here you can see it over on the right. You can see a heat map of where transactions happened in the last year. You can see that over in the sort of northeast corner of the West Township, you can see prices higher. As you go further south and west, the average price tends to go lower. If you did this heat map 3 years ago, it would look pretty different. So there's been lots of change going on in this part of the city. Here you can see a bigger map. And this is the sort of raw material that we use in our models in trying to value the homes that have not sold. This is the information that we see, that our model sees, but of course, you see your home better than we do. So what we're doing at this event tonight is great. And if we just go back to the first slide, Hector, I just want to remind people, our job here is to be the equity part of the property tax system, to divide up that amount of money, which has to be raised no matter how we do our assessments, to make sure it's divided up fairly, to be a good mirror to the market. And this is why we're talking about the market so much here. The last thing for everyone to remember is that we're all interconnected. The assessments that we're doing in this part of Chicago all will go into the mix, and your share of the total assessed value in Chicago becomes your share of the cost of government, and that will determine your property tax bill next year. So you're here for the right thing here tonight, which is to make sure that your assessment is fair, that we're getting that right, that if you disagree with the assessment notice we sent, that we're getting that right, and making sure you get all your exemptions. But I just wanted to close with this little part about how you fit within the larger system, how it works. So now we get to the good part. Let's do the Q&A.
Okay.
This is my favorite part.
This is my favorite part too.
For some reason, some of our questions are not showing up, and I'm not sure why. So I'm just going to read them off. Actually, and tonight is the first time we've streamed live on LinkedIn, which is really exciting. So right now we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So
all the platforms.
Viewers from multiple platforms. So it's really exciting, and that might have something to do with it. But anyways, so the first question is from Karsten Roy. We need help in the south suburbs in Cook County. Our business is paying over $200,000 a year in taxes, and it is no longer viable. Who can help the cities like Dalton, Calumet City, Harvey, etc.? They will turn into ghost towns within the next 10 years if this continues.
Karsten, that's such a great question. And this is the part where I can tell you what we can do about it, but where I also tell you that assessments are not the main way we're going to fix that problem. So first of all, how do assessments work? Assessments divide up this amount of money that has to be raised to begin with to fund your schools and your local government. So the key is we want to make sure that we're estimating the market value of properties within an area correctly so that no one is paying more than their fair share of the amount of money that has already been determined that has to be raised that year. Where the unfairness comes in and so we have really tried hard to eliminate the biases in our models that might have been there before that tended to overestimate the value of more modest homes or cheaper homes, and that tended to undervalue the highest end homes. We think we have fixed for a lot of that problem, but the problem in the south suburbs goes so much deeper. And it doesn't apply to Chicago as much as it applies to the suburbs, which is that in a lot of the south suburbs, these are communities that have been devastated by multiple blows over the last few years in terms of housing prices falling during the financial crisis of 2008, 2009. I have lots of friends, lots of neighbors, lots of classmates who bought homes in the south suburbs 10, 15 years ago. The prices fell 50% and they never recovered. A lot of them are underwater. And these are communities that were already suffering from deindustrialization, closure of plants. They had closures of malls because we had Amazon really putting a lot of malls in department stores under pressure. So what all this did is it shrank the value of property in these communities, while the folks who live there still want to educate their children. They still need to keep government services, police, and keep the lights on, the fire department. So the cost of government remained, but the value of their property in a lot of cases fell 50%. And that's what caused rates to go up in so much of these communities. And unfortunately, assessments cannot fix that. Even if we get a perfect picture of the market, the base is low to cover the costs of schooling and government services. And this is where the shortfalls in how our government is funding schools at the state level and the federal level are really a big culprit that we need to address the problem. So our state is dead last in the United States for supporting school districts and educating children. About 25% of school budgets come from the state. In most states, it's closer to 50%. And so who makes up the difference? Local property owners like you and your neighbors. That's why the rates are so high down there. That is a structurally unfair system. So if our state can provide more revenue to support school districts, that will put less of the burden on the folks, the good folks who just bought a home, who own a home there, who want to stay where they've been living, people who start a business, who've been suffering. The state is really an important part of alleviating that burden. Also, the federal government helps to support the education of kids especially disadvantaged students. It's going to be doubling the amount that it is in the budget this year. Is proposing to double the amount that it provides in that kind of aid. That will help take some of the pressure off of growth in property taxes in your community. So those are two things that can happen. We should talk to our representatives to make sure that all that funding and support from the state and the federal government to our schools happens. You as a citizen can also make sure that your school budget, your local municipality knows the value of a dollar and is spending it well, because that feeds into the property tax you have too. Lastly, we want to get more development so they can grow the base in these places, and that'll bring down the rate for everyone. So there are lots of things that can happen. Assessments play a little bit of a part. We want to make sure that the base isn't smaller than it should be, and we've really tried to work on this year. But there are really big problems that are culprits there too. The good news for people who live in Chicago is that you are part of a very big property tax base. If you live in this township that we're reassessing right now, West Township, so west of the river, south of Fullerton, or North Avenue and north of the river, you're in the same property tax base as all the folks who own buildings downtown, all the folks who own houses on the north side. You're all part of the same base. So it's a really big base, and you benefit from having that in defraying the cost of government collectively amongst us all.
Okay, thank you.
I concur.
And the next question we have is in regards to the long-time homeowner exemption. They want to know increase significantly. What exactly does this mean? Please define what a significant increase is.
I wish I could tell you what the qualifier for getting the long-term homeowner exemption is this year, but it changes every year. It's typically the very greatest, basically the people who had property values increase the most. It's about 2% of homeowners. Then they qualify for that long-term homeowners exemption if it would save them money on their bill over their normal homeowners exemption. If that sounds like a tortured answer, this is not how I would design the law, but this is the law that was passed by the General Assembly when this exemption was put into place. And so it creates very narrow qualifications for this exemption for only the people who've experienced the very most increase in assessments. And it's a small percentage of the folks who own homes in Cook County. But if you qualify for it, we will be sending you a letter in the mail, and you can tell us if you meet the income qualifications, which are below $100,000 a year, to get this exemption. Hector, did I get that right? You want to add any more to that?
Absolutely. And it's different for everybody in different townships. That's why it's not a flat answer. So what I would encourage you to do is on our screen, we have our contact, cookcountyassessor.com/contact. The easiest way to settle this is to just send us your PIN number. We can actually do the calculation for you and let you know whether you qualify or not and why you qualify or why you don't qualify.
And everybody should know who's watching this, we've tried really hard to make all this technology we've been investing in work for you. So we have a whole new call center in place where response times are way down, wait times are way down. We'll be able to take your call. Give us a try if you haven't had a good experience with it before. On social media, you can email us, or you can make an appointment at the office. You don't have to stand in lines anymore. We have an online appointment system, and you can just call us if you want to make an appointment too. So you got a bunch of different options to help you with this.
Yes. The next question is in regards to the homeowner exemption. Okay, they state that they've owned a property since 2009, but not 10 consecutive years own and occupy. They moved away and rented for 3 years. Are there any exceptions or loopholes, etc.?
Hector, you have seen a lot of different cases, but I will take a stab at this. You get the homeowner's exemption for this current year if it was your main residence this year. The same would be the case in the last 3 years. If it was your main residence, you qualify for the homeowner's exemption in those years. And if you didn't have it, you can apply for a certificate of error to get you refunded the amount that you overpaid because that exemption should have been on there. Hector, do you want to add anything to that?
No, just make sure if you owned and occupied the property January 1 of the year, then you would qualify as long as you weren't trying to get exemptions anywhere else. You can only get
That's right.
exemptions on one property. Um, the only loophole would be is if you were a senior citizen and you were, for whatever reason, put in a assisted living situation, your property, even though you don't occupy it, would still qualify for the homeowner and the senior as long as nothing changes. As long as you don't rent it, sell it, make money off of it, Airbnb it, things like that.
And Hector, that's a great thing to add. We have really invested in a lot of data, so don't be one of the people that claims a homeowner's exemption in two different places, because we have really good data that will find it out, and you can be fined and billed for back taxes if you're claiming homeowner's
And you
exemption
will
on two
get
different
caught.
places.
You will get caught. There's no way around it.
There's really good data on that, so just word to the wise.
Yeah.
And that's on behalf of all the taxpayers, so that everyone's treated fairly.
I want to add something on that note. We get a lot of questions about those who move out of state, like this person stated, and they want to know how to remove themselves from the homeowner exemption. They want to stop receiving it, and they're unsure. I know the answer, but I'll let you.
Yeah, that's super easy. You want to do that, boss, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, Hector, you tell me how to do it. I'm going to be learning this myself.
It's super simple. All you have to do is, you can do it many different ways, but the easiest way, contact our office and ask for a homeowner waiver. Once that is filled out and submitted, that is sent to our departments, and then your exemption will be pulled off of that property for the upcoming year. So it's not hard. It's easy, very easy.
Hector, can that be done online?
Yes.
You can definitely get that online. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Next question. Let's see, Mr. Johnny, I think 3-unit building question. Is it true, accurate, that it is better, meaning more likely to prevail on appeal to lower tax bill, if you apply as a building with all 3 owners versus a single unit? Thank you. You're going to like this. P.S. Love Hector's energy.
I love Hector's energy too. Hector, how about you harness your energy for answering this one?
For sure. So I just want to state, this is not legal advice, right? This is not me telling you what you ought to do. However, if you are in a building, and I'm assuming these are condos, right?
I think so.
I would encourage you that if you're going to file an appeal, because condos are based on percentage of ownership, I would encourage everyone in the building to appeal together. It makes more sense if the entire building is appealing their proposed value versus only one person. You don't have to do it that way, but I would encourage you, if you are in a situation like this and everyone in the building agrees that the values are all higher than they should be, then everyone should appeal.
And the reason, for everyone who's watching who might be wondering, why do you do it that way, is the state law. So the state law says we have to value condominiums based on the value of the whole building. And so what we do at our office is we think in terms of the whole building. How much is the whole building worth? Looking at its size, characteristics, and where it is. We don't have information about the interior of the units in the condo. We're just thinking about the value of the whole building. And then if you're one of those condo owners, it's your share of the ownership of the building that determines your share of the assessed value on that building. And that is where the assessment comes from. So when Hector says it's better for everyone to apply together, that's because you are all applying together on the value of the building.
Okay. And it doesn't look like we have any more questions. we have a comment. Thanks for the great information from Mr. Craig Stewart. We have a lot of highs from Stella Black, Michelle. Greetings.
We love our frequent flyers, so it's good to have you back, frequent flyers. Keep coming.
Yes.
We have a good evening from Maywood.
Hello, Maywood. We
Yeah,
love Maywood.
Any more questions?
Well, everybody, we've given you a lot of information tonight, so you are welcome back. If you didn't get your question answered tonight, or if you're walking the dog and suddenly a question comes to you as you're walking the dog, come to us to the next event. Send us an email. Reach out to us. We're here to help. We've really invested in a lot of resources and training for people to help you. We know this system can be very confusing, so it's always okay to ask a question. There are no stupid questions. We are here to serve you. We do it humbly, and we have a wonderful team that loves to do this job because they love to help you. So please look us up. You can, again, use all the different platforms that are out there. We're glad that everyone here has joined us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, but you can send us an email, contact us on social media, visit our office. Again, you don't have to stand in line anymore. Just make an appointment. You'll get the undivided attention of one of our associates who wants to help you. And then you can give us a call too, and we'll get down to serving you. So thanks for everyone for being here tonight. We're really glad you came, and we hope to see you again soon. You want to take it away from here, Actor Angelina?
Definitely. I want to answer Ms. Green's question very quickly. How often are these meetings held? If you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we post about our events weekly. So just get on there. I know I have an event coming up next Tuesday, next Thursday, next Saturday. So just stay connected with us and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, if you follow us, you can become part of the community. Maybe, who knows, maybe you can become a frequent flyer too, although we know you got other things going on in your life, so you don't have to.
For some reason, the comments started popping up and working. But
There we go.
All
Well,
right.
we love seeing the greetings. We love seeing folks from the hardworking towns of Maywood and Cicero, as well as all the Chicagoans out there. So thanks for joining us.
Okay, have a good
Shout
evening,
out to
everyone.
the Michael Jordan profile.
All right.
We love you
Bye
guys.
now. See you later, everybody.